Avatar by HXW is back at it again, this time with a digital drum pad that will have all drummers taking a second glance. The PD705 is the newest electronic drum sampling pad hitting Western markets. HXW was, again, kind enough to send me one to test out. If you saw my last video, you'll remember that I reviewed a mid-range electronic drum set from HXW, the SD-201C. I'll have a card link to that video above. And while I don't think it will change the minds of most drummers, this drum pad just may. If you've ever wanted to use a drum pad to trigger backing tracks live, your options have mostly been pretty expensive. I remember wanting to use other samples in our live show, so I resorted to finding a used SPD-S at the local music store. And this solution was not ideal because the pads ended up failing after a short time. I mean, the pad was used for who knows how long before me. Up until now, Alesis was really the only company that made an affordable option for an electronic drum pad. HXW, though, is changing the game because the PD705 retails at $100 less than the Sample Pad Pro and even has one additional trigger zone. The PD705 looks impressive. Right out of the box, I'd go as far to say that it feels similar in quality to the SPD-SX. Everything from the weight and the knobs seem to be above par. The only thing I wish that had come in the box is the plate attachment that screws to the back of the unit, so you can use it with a multi-clamp or some other way. You know, right now I just have it sitting in an extra snare stand basket. The unit features 9 velocity-sensitive pads, a built-in metronome, effects engine, looper, 600 plus percussion sounds, and this is a big one, supports USB, MIDI, and has an auxiliary input. Now, most pads these days definitely have USB function. Most electronic drum sets do this, but I just feel like that's the one essential part of this drum pad. And it's, like I said, it's standard for most electronic drum pads. You know, the PD705 comes at a way more affordable cost, lowering the barrier to entry for a lot of drummers that want to experiment with electronic sounds and the use of backing tracks. Also, there are 2 additional pad inputs along with a kick and hi-hat input, something that's not supported by the SPD-SX, another plus. Not only is that good for drummers who want more functionality, but it might be perfect for the parents of the first-time drummer looking for a compact solution. And the elephant in the room, the drum pad looks awesome. Upon turning it on, I was pleasantly surprised seeing LED indicators on each pad. By default, the LEDs light up upon striking a pad and they quickly turn off. I found there's another setting allowing for the indicators to stay on for the full duration of the sample, but no way to have the LEDs on at all times. Having them on at all times would be massive, a massive aid in dark clubs and venues, but maybe we'll see a firmware update in the future with that change added. In comparison to other electronic drum pads, the PD705 has less rebound. Some may argue this is a useful feature, as pads with too much rebound lead to a false sense of dependency on the bounce stroke. But aside from that, there is one thing I do worry about. The unit itself seems a little bit fragile. For example, when I hit the large top left pad, I can hear the plastic moving as it makes some additional noise when struck. I can only assume that because of how much cheaper it is, it's not going to be as robust, but I still think it will hold up over time. Triggering works excellent. The unit was able to play back even the quickest double stroke rolls. Like with the SD-201C, the included sounds are not the greatest to my ears. You get a total of 30 preset kits and 600 plus percussion sounds. There are plenty of usable kits, but I've gotten so spoiled over the years with my library and all the different samples I've collected. Again, I pretty much say this about all pre-packed sample packs. Like the SPD-SX, Alesis goes on. If you happen not to like the presets and samples included, you can always import additional sounds with the USB stick. The PD705 allows for 20 separate user kits. Editing and adjusting kits is a little confusing, but there's always some barrier to entry when learning how to use a piece of hardware. For easy sample import, HXW provides a free wave manager, which I've linked down below in the description for the download. For the gigging drummer, triggering backing tracks may be the reason you decide to pick up an electronic drum pad. For you, the sounds and features of the unit don't really matter as long as it can send MIDI information to your DAW. Fortunately, the PD705 has both USB and MIDI capability. Upon plugging the unit into my MacBook Pro, Ableton Live recognized it immediately and I had no issues. I was able to send MIDI to the software right out of the box. All I had to do was remap some of the MIDI information to start playback, stop playback, etc. Something you'll have to do with any MIDI controller you have. For $100 less than the Sample Pad Pro, there's no reason you shouldn't pick up this pad if you intend to use it only for a playback system. There's no crosstalk issues I found either. For the money, there's literally no better option available. If you don't have a ton of cash and you're looking to get into sampling and playback systems, I'd look no further than the PD705. The unit itself could be a little more sturdy and robust, but for the most part, I'm thrilled after testing it out. Drummers don't need to shell out almost $1,000 for a good drum pad MIDI controller. And besides that, the unit looks great. There's no reflection of the cost when you see it for yourself. And for those curious, let's now take a listen to some of the sounds included. Alright everyone, that is my in-depth review of the HXW PD705 electronic drum pad. Please leave a comment down below and let me know if you picked one up or if you like a different drum pad. Thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next video.